Mind you, I'm still messaging the CEO trying to get this man's money back. And everybody just, even Axe kind of left the table and just looked at the corner. Axe is over there like this. And the baddies are like, what's happening? Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today's video will be a story time. As I told you guys, I am back to doing story times on this channel, but it is recycled material from my members only channel. So if you are interested in newer story time or slightly crazy story times, make sure you join my members only. Let's get started with today's story time. Let's go. So today's story time is gonna be a story time of why you should mind your business, stay home, look at your money and your money only, and don't look at other people's money because you didn't make their money, they made their money. Okay, that's today's story time lesson. Still can't believe I went through this. So before we get started with today's story time, I will be introducing today's characters to y'all. Of course, all the names will be fake, as fake as my hair is right now. Super fake, okay? So today's story time has, I think, 5 characters. The first character we're gonna call Jamila. Jamila is my friend at the time, but now we're not friends. So she is currently an ex-friend, but at the time we were really close friends. And then the second character is going to be the club MD, and we are going to call him Kim. And then the next character is going to be the celebrity slash professional athlete, and we're gonna call him Axe. And then the fourth character is going to be the CEO of the club. We're just gonna call him Club CEO because it's gonna be way too many names to remember after a while. So those are the characters on today's story time. So this story time happened a really long time ago because me and Jamila stopped being friends around 2-3 years ago. So it's been a really long time since this story happened. And one day she called me and she was like, hey girl, I need club recommendations. And I'm like, why do you need club recommendations? And she tells me that this professional athlete, we're gonna say he plays baseball, but he plays a sport that Koreans freaking love. It's very obvious what sport it is, but it's just not gonna come out of my mouth. But we're gonna say baseball. It's not baseball, but we're gonna say baseball. She goes, there's this professional baseball player who's looking to go clubbing in Korea, and he just wants to go to the best club in Korea. And I'm like, girl, I don't know the best club in Korea. I don't even go clubbing like that. She's like, you're the only one I know who goes club. And I'm like, who's this athlete? And she tells me the name of the athlete, and I went on the Google it. Axe professional baseball player. Search. And as soon as I hit that search button, his net worth popped up, and this man was worth millions and millions, actually tens of millions of dollars, right? So I'm like, oh,
money, he got money, get it all for him.
I asked her, I was like, what are they trying to do for the club? And she tells me, I don't really care what they're trying to do. All I know is they're trying to spend $10,000 in this club. And I'm like, $10,000 is 10 months of my rent. What are we talking about? What are we talking about spending $10,000 on alcohol? Alcohol. Why do people do this, by the way? Why do people spend so much money on just alcohol? Something you'll consume and it's done. Like it's not coming back to you. But I had to remind myself, this man is worth millions of dollars. So 10,000 to him is probably like $10 to me. Like, it's not a big deal, right? I mean, I ain't even gonna lie, $10 is still a big deal because, girl, that's a good meal right there, okay? That's not the point. I'm frugal. That's not the point. So I'm like, okay, I don't know where he can spend $10,000, but I know a club MD that might be able to point us in the right direction. So at this point, we're hype as hell. Like, we're like, oh my God, we know somebody who's about to spend $10,000 on a table. This is also why today's lesson is mind your business, okay? Mind your business. I also do have to defend myself and say I was a lot younger back then, okay? I was a child. I think I was under 25. And to me, anything under 25, you're a baby. Your brain is not fully developed. I hit up my friend Kim, who is a club MD. How I met Kim, funny enough, is I met him in the club. In the club, we are all friends. Because I met him when I was studying abroad in Yonsei. So I met him like 8 years ago. 8-9 years ago actually. So I hit him up on Instagram. I do have to say I don't follow this person anymore, so don't try to figure out who this is. I know I only follow like a bit over 200 people, so it's easy to find people. But I don't follow none of these people, okay? Nobody in this story do I follow on Instagram or any of my social media. So I hit up Kim on my Instagram and I'm like, hey Kim, I have a professional baseball player who's coming to Korea and he's looking to spend some money in a club. Can you point me to the best club in Seoul if you can? And he's like, who's the baseball player? So I tell him, oh, the baseball player is X. Y'all, when I tell you, not even a second later, Kim says, I love this guy. Oh my god, he's one of my favorite baseball players. And I'm like,
say what?
Oh, Axe is known like that. Like even randos, well, he's not random. Kim is not random, but even people just out here know him. So I'm like, yeah, that Axe, that baseball player is coming to Korea. Well, he is in Korea and he's looking for the best club. Now, I forgot to tell y'all, so let's rewind a little bit. My friend hit me up on a Thursday, I believe, and they were trying to party on a Friday. And my friend is like, let me hook you up with the CEO of this one club that is really, really hot at the time. Now, I do have to say, I knew the club because this club always had supercars parked in front of it. Like, every time I would pass this place, I would be like, why are there so many supercars? Like, are all the supercars in Korea just in this club? It's one of those clubs. So he contacts me with the club owner, like the man who owns this club. Not a club MD, which honestly, less stress. Not a club MD, the owner. So the CEO of this club. So he contacts me with that person and I'm telling Jamila, I'm like, Jamila, we got the club. It's going to be this club. Is this okay? Like, do you think this will be okay? Mind you, me and Jamila have never been to this club. Like, we're just getting recommendations from my friend Kim. He's not my friend. My acquaintance Kim, who is a club MD, okay? I do have to say, Jamila does not know Korean, and that's why she also passed this on to me, because I speak Korean, I can write Korean, I can understand Korean. So it would just be easier for me to handle the logistics. Again, mind your business. This had nothing to do with me and I inserted myself in it, and at the end I regretted it so bad. So just remember that as you're watching the story, mind your business when people come to you with these type of things, okay? I end up hitting up the CEO. I tell him and he's like, Kim told me that Axe is coming and he is in Korea and wants to come to our club. And I'm like, yes. The CEO is literally like, is there any way that we can use Axe to promote the club tomorrow? And I'm like, no, you can't. Because one thing Jamila had told me is Axe did not want people knowing that he is in Korea. Like, he was doing like interviews here and there. Like, he was outside, but he wasn't like outside club wise. He was just outside image wise for the TVs and stuff, right? So I'm like, no, Axe is trying to be low profile, so you cannot mention to anybody that Axe is coming. This has to be a secret. The CEO asked me how much he's trying to spend, and I tell him around 15 million Korean won, which is around $10,000. And he's like, okay, that's fine. What time is he thinking of coming? And I'm like, they're thinking of coming tomorrow. Tomorrow. This is the next day, tomorrow. And he's like, okay, that's fine. I think it was, let me check just to make sure that she was telling me this on... Oh wow, okay, so we were actually talking the same day. So they were supposed to go to the club on Friday and I started this conversation on Friday. So I hit up Kim, the club MD, in the morning. And now I have the CEO's number by around 2 p.m. the same day. Like the same day that Axe wants to go to this club. Which, why would you, anyways. Whatever. So it was on a Friday. So me and Jamila had started talking in the morning and now it's on the same day, Friday. So I'm talking to the club CEO by like 2 p.m., 3 p.m. And I'll be reading some of the messages just so I don't want to get the timelines mixed up. So Jamila would talk to Axe. Axe did not know of my existence, by the way. So Jamila would talk to Axe and his gang, and then she will relay the information to me, and I will relay the information to the CEO. So I was basically the middleman / the translator. So if Jamila told me something, I would tell the club CEO. The club CEO had sent me all the drink menus, and when I tell you, I was seeing alcohol there that I'm like, this for sure online is $300. Why is it $1,000 in this club? Why is this champagne $1,000 in your club when I know for sure, I don't even like champagne and I don't drink champagne. I know for sure this is $300. The club is a scam. But it's not my money, so I can't say nothing. So I was just sending Jamila the menu and I'm like, hey, can you pick the drinks? Can you just tell them to pick the drinks that need to amount to 15 million? So the club CEO tells me, he's like, they need to make sure they pick their drinks by 6 p.m. so we can know what we need to buy if there are drinks that we don't have at the club. I know somebody's so annoying that I'm saying club as club. So I text Jamila, I'm like, they have this, and they have bottles of Henny now. and I'm sending her like all these pictures because I'm like, girl, here, like look at the menu to see what they have, because it was kind of annoying me that Jamila was asking all these questions and I just sent you the full menu of what they have, but she's still like, do they have this, do they have that? And I'm like, girl, here's the menu, this is what they have. And I'm literally like, here's the picture. Around almost 8 p.m. they still haven't picked their drinks. They still haven't confirmed if they are going or not, because I'm getting information from Jamila and she's telling me they are currently at dinner, so she hasn't been able to talk to Axe. So she's the one making all these decisions by herself at this time, but she's like, Axe are at a different table and I can't talk to them yet because they're having dinner at this banquet. And I'm like, girl, it's almost 8. Are you sure these people still want to club? Like, I'd rather leave the situation early before I get my feet too deep. And I don't know Axe and his entourage enough to make decisions for them. I don't know what these people like. So it was always me just sitting by the phone waiting for her to reply, and the CEO being like, have they responded? Have they responded? And I'm like, no, they haven't responded, because if they did, I would have messaged you. I just saw a message that said, imagine we go and their card declines. And then I wrote, Jesus! By 9 p.m. they had responded and they had said a total of around 8 people will be going. So I passed the message on to the club CEO. Club owner is basically like, what time are they thinking of coming? And I'm like, they'll probably be there by midnight or 11, like 11 to midnight. Jamila says she's going back home to change because now the dinner was done and they had all discussed like all this. So she went home to change, and I'm telling the club CEO, I'm like, okay, I think everything is figured out. And then the club CEO hits me with the, so whose card do we put down for the deposit? And I'm like, deposit for what? And this man goes, we need to have a deposit on the table to hold the table. And I'm like, oh, I don't think we can do that because Axe is a foreigner. Like, he's not Korean, he's a foreigner, so his bank accounts are not Korean. So I don't think he can put down a deposit, which the deposit was $1,500. I think it was dollars too, like $1,500. And the club CEO goes, why don't you put your money down as the deposit? And then when they come and pay for the table, we'll give you back your money. And I was like, is 1,500 the name of your dog? What? Is 1,500 the price of soap? I am not a millionaire. Like, what are you talking about? Like, no! 1,500 for a club table for people I don't even know? First of all, 1,500 for a club alone by itself is an absolute no. I'm not doing that. But for some people that I don't know, absolutely not. So I was like, oh, sorry, I don't know Axe like that, so I don't feel comfortable putting my money down. So if we are not able to do that, I can tell them we just can cancel the whole thing. As I said, Axe is a big name, so the club CEO was like, no, it's okay, we'll hold the table for him. Just make sure they arrive by midnight, because the club tables are bidding system tables. I don't know if it's all clubs are like this, but this club in particular, you have to bid for your table. If you don't have a deposit, somebody can bid on your table. And I'm just like, we don't have that money. So he's like, okay, since it's Axe, we'll hold the table. And I'm like, okay, bet. I'll make sure they're there by midnight, which I don't know why I was saying that when I don't even know these people. Like, I don't know why I was putting my life on the line for that. So I'm texting Jamila and I'm telling her what happened. And she's like, okay, I'll make sure that they know to be there by 12. She messages them. And mind you, it is currently 9 going on to 10 and they still haven't picked the drinks they want to drink. And I'm telling Jamila, I keep repeating, I'm like, hey, can you make sure they pick the drinks they want to drink? She does end up telling me what type of drinks they want, and they did all amount to around 14 million Korean won or 15 million Korean won, which is around 10,000, because for the table, you're basically buying the drink amount for that. Sent the list over to the CEO, he got it, and then he put me in a group chat with a club manager and a club MD for this particular club. So now I'm talking with the CEO, but I'm also in another group chat with the manager and an MD. So I'm telling the MDs, and the MDs are like, we're gonna have people waiting outside for Axe. And I'm just like, this is a lot of pressure. Mind you, I'm at home, I do have my makeup on, I'm not ready to leave the house at all. And Jamila's telling me she's getting ready. Something in me was telling me like, this is probably gonna be a bust, because the communication has been really, really bad back and forth. So around 10:30, I messaged Jamila and I'm like, when are they gonna start making their way to the club? Because the CEO wants to know around what time their ETA is. I messaged Jamila, Jamila messages them and she's like, they're not replying. This is around 10:30 already, okay? They're not replying. And I'm like, what do you mean they're not replying? Can you try and call them? So she tries to call them, nothing. It goes to around 11 and Jamila is like, I'm still at home, like I'm waiting for them to reply. And Jamila is chill, like she's not really as stressed as I am, because I'm the one who's talking to the club CEO, the manager, and the MD. Like, I'm doing all this by myself. So she's just like, oh, I think I'm gonna wear this. I think I'm gonna wear this. Oh, I think I'm gonna let my legs out today. And I'm just sitting there stressed. Like, why is Axe not replying? Like, I need to relay this information. Like, Jamila, can you do something? Like, around 11, they still had not replied to us. Mind you, they're supposed to get there by midnight. 11:30 comes, nothing. And I'm still at home. Luckily for me, my house was like maybe 20 minutes from the club by taxi. So I wasn't as stressed. Who am I lying? I was stressed. I was super stressed because the CEO was constantly like, are they on their way? Are they on their way? When are they coming? We need to know because the table is still open. We need to know. Like, he's just messaging me constantly and I'm just like, I don't know because Jamila has not replied to me and they have not replied to Jamila. Around like 11:50, I messaged Jamila and I'm like, girl, like, do you know where these people are? She still doesn't know where they are. Let me actually read the messages from that day. So around 11:37, I'm telling Jamila, I'm like, they finna lose the table. And she's like, ugh, I hate this. And I'm like, bruh, they are not gonna make it by 12:10. I should have said 11. 12:10 is 30 minutes away and the club is 22 minutes away from them. What are they doing? Can you call them? The employee is pestering. All these people are now messaging me because it is 11:40. And they're supposed to be there by 12. 11:52, she's like, they're on their way. So I think by 11:52 is when they responded to her and they were like, oh, we're actually on our way, after no communication for like 2 hours. And around 11:56, the CEO messages me and he's like, there are 4 people outside. Is that your group? And I'm like, I don't know if this is my group, sir. I'm not there. I don't know these people. I'm like, do they look like they would be with Axe? And the CEO is like, yeah, they look like they will be with Axe. And then he messages me, he's like, Axe is here too. Because obviously the club CEO, the employees, they all know how Axe looks like. Also, the club CEO wasn't there. I think it was like the employees telling the CEO because he definitely wasn't there. I tell Jamila, I'm like, Axe is actually there already. This is like right before 12 hits. So first of all, I commend them for getting there on time, but communication could have been better. The communication was terrible. Trash. Absolute basura. Sregi. I end up wearing like random clothing. I did not wear no clubbing clothing that day. I was like, I'm just gonna go be a little office worker, just translate, leave and go home because I was so over this whole situation. I was so stressed. I get in the taxi and by this time, Jamila had still not told me exactly what they want to drink. So I tell her, when you get in your taxi, can you message me and tell me what they want to drink and just make sure it amounts to the correct amount. So she gets in the taxi, I get in the taxi, I end up getting there first. I go inside and, oh sorry, before we get there, while I was in the taxi, the club CEO messaged me and he's like, Axe said he doesn't like his table because it's on the EDM side. And I'm not gonna lie, in my head I was like, why would you think black folk would want to listen to EDM? Like, take them to the hip-hop side because this club has 2 sides. It has an EDM side and it has a hip-hop side, but EDM is way more popular in Korea than hip-hop. So they had reserved the table on the EDM side because the EDM side was a lot nicer. Obviously, I've never been to this club, so I don't know all this. Axe and his crew don't listen to EDM, of course. It's gonna be the hip-hop side. So the CEO was telling me they moved them to the hip-hop side because they said they want to listen to hip-hop, not EDM. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But they don't like their table. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like, what do you mean they don't like their table? By the time I got there, nothing was done. So I go in the club. I see Axe and his group, like, it's black folk. It's really easy to be like, that's Axe. So I go up to them. I like hug them. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry I'm late. And I back up and everybody's like, oh, who are you? Y'all, I done forgot these people don't know me from a can of paint. I completely forgot Axe does not know who I am. So he probably thinks I'm a groupie at this moment. And I'm like, I am so sorry. I'm Jamila's friend, Peris, the one who's translating for you today. And they're like, oh, Jamila. And I'm like, yeah, I should have probably introduced myself first. I'm sorry. So we get that figured out. And as soon as I hug them, I lift my head and I'm like, why does this area look so ghetto?
Ooh! Ah, the ghetto! The ghetto.
The hip-hop side of this club looked so ghetto. Like, it looked like, no offense, a Hongdae club. It was just super ghetto. Mind you, this man wanted to spend money on the nicest club in Korea and it was not giving. The hip-hop side was not giving. There's like tissue all over. Like, you know how, well, if you don't know, clubs in Korea sometimes they would just throw tissue out of nowhere. It's very random. So there was tissue everywhere. Some of the sofas were ripped. Like, it was just super ghetto where they were giving a seat. So they asked me, they're like, can we move to the next table over, because nobody was at that table and it was cleaner there, right? They're like, can we move to that table over? And I'm like, oh, I'm not sure. Let me message the owner and ask them if we can move. So I messaged the owner, and the owner is like, that table is actually already reserved, so I'm sorry, they can't move to that table. And I tell them, but maybe like 5 minutes later, the owner messages me and he's like, actually they can move there. We've moved the other customers to where they are right now. So they end up moving to that side of the table. Jamila ends up coming, and Jamila walks in strutting in. Mind you, I am stressed. I was so stressed because nothing was going the way it was supposed to go. Jamila comes strutting in. She's hugging them. I'm just waiting. She's hugging them, talking to them, because they know her but they don't know me, right? So that happens, and then the employee comes to me and he's like, so can we get the card to pay for the table? And I'm like, oh sorry, yes, you can get the card. I asked Jamila, I'm like, so whose card are we using to pay for the table? She ends up going up to one guy and she's like, oh, I was actually talking with him, let me go ask him. And in my head I was like, wait, you weren't talking to Axe? You were talking to his entourage? But then I'm like, well, it makes sense. Most celebrities will not give you their number. They will give you like some random person in the entourage's number because they don't want you to have their number. So I was like, okay, bet. So she goes up to him. She's like, whose card are we using? Then that man ends up telling Axe like, yo, your card, bro, so they can pay for the table. Axe gives me his card. I give it to the employee, and he ends up going to the register. He does what he has to do at the ATM. He comes back, gives me the card with the receipt wrapped around it, and I give it back to Axe. And it was $10,000, by the way. It was $10,000. I saw the receipt and I was like, oh, I'm like, here, sir. $10,000 on a club table is crazy. So I was like, oh phew, everything is done, like everything is paid for, so I could breathe an air of relief. No, I can't, because shit's about to really go down now. I'm talking to Jamila, talking, and maybe like 5 minutes later, I feel Axe come up to me and he's like, so how much did you guys charge for the table? And I'm like, oh, it's 10,000. I heard that you wanted to spend 10,000, so that's what they charge. Innocently. I'm saying this super innocently. And he's like, what? Who would spend 10,000 in this club? And I'm like, Jamila? That's what I was told, that you wanted to spend 10,000. He's like, why would I spend 10,000 on this place? And he's like pointing at the area and he's like, it was ghetto. You know what, Axe? I understand. I would also never pay I wouldn't even pay $50 for that type of club. It was very ghetto. And he's like, for this place, who would pay $10,000? I wasn't trying to spend that money. And I'm like, Jamila, like who told you they were gonna spend $10,000 then if it's not Axe? Jamila ends up being like, oh, your friend told me that's how much you wanted to spend. He's like, no, I want my money back. No, I did not want to spend $10,000 on this club. I want my money back. And I'm sitting there like, oh my God. Sir, I think it's no takes backsies when it comes to these type of things, but okay. Bro, my heart was racing because it was clear that he was angry that he wasn't that angry, I'm not even gonna lie. He wasn't like super angry, but you could tell he was like shocked that he would be paying that much money. Like he clearly didn't know that he would be spending that much money. So he was like very like what? Like, you know what I mean? So I'm telling Jamila, and Jamila is like, I thought that's what you wanted to spend. That's what I was told. And he was like, no, I want my money back. So I messaged the CEO and I didn't even message the employees. At this point, I was like, exit the chat. Employees, but CEO, I need to talk to you because you got his money, right? So I messaged the CEO and I'm like, Axe is not really happy with the table, so he actually wants to leave. Is there a way you can reimburse the 10K because he just wants to go to another club? I didn't want to say the whole thing about, oh, it's his friend, because I feel like that would have made sure that he doesn't get his money, because the CEO would just be like, I don't care about what the friend says, that's not my business, that's your business. But if I said Axe is not happy with the club, I felt like the CEO would be like more sorry for it, because he was definitely not happy with the club, and be like, oh, I'm sorry, Axe, because you're a big celebrity superstar and I love you and your talent, here's your money back. That's what I thought, right? So I messaged the owner telling him like, oh, he's not happy with the club, do you mind just giving us back the money so we can just, you know, just leave, peacefully leave. So the CEO is like, no, that's not how that works. And I'm like, what do you mean that's not how that works? Like, the man wants his money. Like, that's all I know. The man wants his money. And the club CEO is like, no, we do not refund after you pay for a table, because as I told you, that table could have been somebody else's, but now Axe is already taking it. So for like 30 minutes, back and forth, I'm like, Axe, they said they can't refund your money. And he's like, I need my money back. So I don't know what you're gonna have to do. Make sure I get my money. And I'm like, I was literally like in the club in my phone like this. 30 minutes in, they start bringing the drinks. And I just said, this is a $10,000 table. So it's now 1 champagne. It's not 2 champagne. It was like 8 champagne bottles, I think 2 hard liquor bottles, and like 3 other bottles of stuff, and then soft drinks and a fruit plate. So it was a lot of things. And if you don't know club culture, if you buy that many bottles, or even if you buy a bottle, they bring it with like a little sparkler. I'll put a picture here. They bring it with a little sparkler, and they have like the baddies of the club holding the bottles, and then they have the baddies of the club holding a sign. Pause. Let's rewind a little bit. I forgot to tell you another part. So after we paid for look at me saying it like I paid for this table. After Axe paid for the table, the club MD, the manager, came up to me and he was like, what do you want us to write for the sign, and also what do you want to flash in the club? Because for this club, when you buy a bottle, they'll put it on the board. I'll leave a picture of what I mean by board here. But for this club, they also put your name on a really big screen, and then like there's like a LED lights that rotate around the club, and they also put your message on there too. So some people will be like, happy birthday Susie, so that will flash, or we ballin' tonight, and that will flash. So I go to ask them like, what do you want them to put on the board because you bought the table? And he's like, absolutely nothing. I don't want to see my name anywhere. I don't, nothing. Just bring the bottles. I don't want nothing. So I go to that manager and I'm like, he said absolutely nothing. Just write nothing. Just nothing. Nothing. Fast forward back to where we were with the baddies holding the bottles, right? So the baddies come with the bottle and the sign that says nothing on it. The sign said nothing, y'all. I said write nothing. They really wrote nothing. In English. In English. Oh, in 영어로. Nothing. And I'm just like, I'm seeing this spinning around the club and I'm like, what? So the baddies are coming, right? There were like 10 baddies holding bottles with sparklers. You would think the club was outside in the daytime. It was so bright in that club because of those sparklers. Also, I don't know why people like that attention, because for me, it was really embarrassing for some reason. Maybe because I didn't pay for the bottles, I didn't feel anything about it. But it's really embarrassing for some reason. I don't know, just having people, whoa, and it's just all up in your, it's weird, I don't know. But they come with the sparklers, and as I said, it's super bright. As soon as they arrive to our table, because now everybody in the club is looking at the bottles, like, where are these bottles going to? Like, they're like 10 bottles, like, where are they going to? Everybody's attention is on us. As soon as these girls arrive on our table to do their little dancey dance until the sparklers are done, everybody on that table, including me, turned around. We all turned around. We all turned around and acted like we don't know what's going on. Mind you, I'm still messaging the CEO trying to get this man's money back. And the bottles have arrived. The bottles are here. And everybody just, even Axe kind of left the table and just looked at the corner. Axe is over there like this. And the baddies are like, what's happening? I'm like, 꺼주세요, 꺼주세요. 제발 꺼주세요. I'm just like, turn it up. Kill that spark. Girl, I will kill that sparkler for you if you don't kill it for me. So they start like taking the sparklers. They were so confused, by the way. They were so confused. They take the sparklers off and they're like, oh, okay. And they like turn the sparklers off and they put the bottles on the table and leave. And I was just like, oh my God, thank God they left. It went back to darkness and it was okay. It was okay again. Life was fine again. As I said, nobody's touching the bottles. I said, do not touch these bottles because they all need to go back in one piece. So the CEO ends up messaging me back and he's like, we can give him 70% back, but we have to take 3% back. So they have to take $3,000, but Axe can have $7,000 back. So I tell Axe and he's like, no, I want my 10,000 back. Why would I take 7,000 when I just gave you 10,000? I'm like, he said that's the only way that we're gonna be able to, like, you know, get the money back. So I tell Jamila, and Jamila is like, let me just go ask the guy if they can just pay for the 3,000, because apparently his entourage were acting like they were also big ballers. So Jamila was like, let me go ask the guy if he can just pay for the 3,000 so Axe can get his 10,000 back. So Jamila goes up to the guy who had said, yeah, Axe is gonna spend 10,000 to Jamila, and she tells him, and he's like, oh no, ask the other guy. So it basically became a game of Jamila going to every single guy from his entourage being like, hey, can I get your card so you guys can pay for the 3K so Axe can get his money back? And they'll be like, no, go to that guy, like he probably can do it. And then she'll go to this guy and they'll be like, no, go to that. It was just back and forth. Axe was exhausted at this moment. Like, I could tell Axe was just so over it. So Axe comes back to me and he's like, here's my card, they can take the 3,000, I just want my 7,000, I want to leave right now. So I'm like, I'm so sorry. I take his card, I give it to the club manager, he goes, gives him back his refund, gives him back his 7,000. And at first, let me rewind a little bit. At first he was like, if we can drink the 3,000 in drinks, whatever here costs 3,000, that's fine. We'll do the 3,000. we'll give you the 3,000 if we can drink 3,000 worth of drinks here. And the club owner is like, no, that's not how it works. We need all the bottles to be taken back. And while we're going back and forth, somebody came and took all the drinks away. So it's really awkward because there was like this big like parade of like, woo, they bought all these bottles. And then like an hour later, you just see somebody come take all the buckets of drinks away and everything away. Super awkward. The club manager goes to the ATM, gives him his refund. Axe goes and checks his bank account. He's like, okay, I got the money back. And we all left after that, but they were still very sweet. The security guard literally came, took Axe, made sure he was like fine. He even had a flashlight on the ground to make sure the Axe is fine leaving the club. We ended up leaving the club just like that. And I remember when we were outside talking to Axe before because they had a personal driver driving them around. So before their personal driver came, we were talking to them and I was just like, I don't know why I was apologizing. Like I did something wrong, but I was like, sorry for that. I didn't know that's how it was gonna go. But technically the problem was your friend lied to Jamila that you were okay with spending 10K. Your friend should be apologizing to you right now. A fan came up to Axe and he was like, hey, can I get a picture? Super excited. Hey, can I get a picture? Oh my God, I love you. Like, I love this spot. And Axe is literally looking down. I look at the fan and I'm like, it's the wrong time right now. In Korean, I was like, I'm so sorry. It's like the worst time you can come right now. Maybe next time. The fan was like, 그래요? 네, 알겠습니다. And he just like leaves and I'm like, oh my God. Probably broke that kid's heart. Like that, Axe ended up getting in the car. They ended up going back to their hotel. Me and Jamila, I don't even know what we did. Anyways, next day comes. The next day we were supposed to go to my friend's DJing thing and also go clubbing that day. And that day, Axe ended up asking Jamila what we were doing that night. And we were like, yeah, we're outside clubbing. And they were like, can we come join you guys? And we were like, there are no tables in this club. So if you guys are expecting a table, do not come out because I'm not trying to find a table for y'all. I'm not doing that. Like, no, I'm not doing that for y'all. So Jamila tells them what club we were in. They end up coming to this club. And I remember I was dancing with Jamila and then I looked over and I saw Axe and his entourage and I looked away immediately because I did not want stress about them because this club, as I said, had no tables available. Like there were no tables available and I knew Axe was not the type of person to stand and party. He did not give that vibe. He gave the vibe of I stand, the women come to me type of vibe, right? So Jamila goes up to them. I see her talking with Axe. Axe whispers something in her ear and then she comes back to me and I'm like, what did he say? And he was like, he said it's back, he's leaving. And I'm like, it is what it is. It is what it is because I'm not asking for a table. Sounds like your problem. Sir, I'm not asking for a table. Bye, you can leave. Like, I don't care. I'm so sorry about it. I do not care. Yesterday I was so stressed out with y'all. I didn't even get a thank you. It's not like I was even being paid. Like, it was just a mess. A mess. So, as I said, mind your business. If you're not being paid to translate, don't be going around volunteering your services if you're not being paid. If they're not paying me, I'm not translating for you. I'm so sorry about it. Because y'all would not make my image look bad. Because I know that CEO was like, Peris capping. Peris was a liar. Paris was nothing. Paris had nothing to do with this, okay? That's basically the full story of how a celebrity spent $10,000 on a table and things went left so fast. After that, I was like, I still don't understand why people spend that much money on a club just to drink and for the drinks to evaporate or for the drinks to make you throw up or the drinks to make you fight someone. Like, why? That was it for today's story time. I hope you guys enjoyed the story time. I know this one was super long. I am so sorry. Like, I think I took almost an hour to record this. I'm so sorry. If you guys like shorter story times, comment down below. What do you guys like? Do you like longer story times or do you guys like shorter story times? Because for these type of story times, I actually usually break it up into two parts, a part 1 and a part 2. But because this is my main channel, I was like, I'm gonna just tell you guys the whole story. And if you guys don't like long story times, I'll just break it down next time or just do short story time. Anyways, guys, that was it for today's story time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Also, don't forget that I do have a podcast called Korea Unfiltered. If you are interested in hearing other people's stories who live in Korea, not just mine, you can go to Korea Unfiltered, where I have a new guest every week talking about their experiences, good, bad, ugly, cute, all their experiences in Korea. I'll leave all the links down below. And if you are in Korea and you would like to be a guest on Korea Unfiltered, we take new guests every single day. All you have to do is fill out the form. Make sure you have a social media because I need to see your face before you come on my channel because I need to know you're a real person, okay? That's all I need to know. I just need to know you're a real person. So make sure you sign up on the guest forum. And of course, I do have a members only. So make sure you click down below to join the members only if you do want to hear other story times, because I have like hundreds of story times on my members only, I think. So if you're interested in more story times, definitely check out the members only, and I'll see you guys next week for the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye guys. Oh, bye guys.
Je wasikia ninapokuona